Peeking here, bringing you a discussion video, I guess. I mean, I could technically call it a review, but no, not really, since the chapter's been out for weeks. So yeah, I'm gonna be talking about the what was the chapter number? What, 519, or was it 18? You know what I'm talking about, that fairy tale chapter that everyone lost their shit over. And yeah, I'd seen all the reviews beforehand discussing the chapter, and then when I finally got to it, and read it, all I could think of was, what is the big deal? Like, what's the big problem with this chapter that everyone has a hard time getting their minds over? Like, it's not as bad as it's made out. The only negative I could say about the chapter is that it just feels rushed. But other than that, I didn't feel like there were any problems with it, and let me explain why I didn't personally have any problems with it. From the moment I started reading the manga and I got introduced to Urza, right? And throughout the entire chapters and arcs that we got with her kicking ass and just being completely OP, the only thing that kept going through my mind was, surely there's going to have to be a point where we get her proper origin story and we find out why she's this OP character. I mean, we did kind of get her backstory of being a slave in there, but that was like early stuff. We didn't really get a good idea of who her parents and shit were. So I just been waiting that whole time for that. And then obviously the reviews came out where we finally discovered that no, she's got a mother and that. So I just kept reading, trying to get to those chapters, and I finally got to it. Read those chapters where we discovered that Urza is pretty much 400 years old, and she was raised in the womb of a dragon, of a half human, half dragon. And yeah, that for me was enough of an explanation to explain why she's so bloody OP, because this kid who was pretty much a baby for 400 years in the womb of a half dragon, half human, probably had a lot of special magical properties imbued into her. And at least that's my theory anyway, because when I read that, I just thought that's probably the reason why. I mean, her mother's an OP character in itself, so her daughter would be just as OP, right? So I didn't have a problem with that. I feel like, okay, good, that explains why she's an overpowered bitch. There you go. And then we got the chapter where they fight, and yeah, there are flaws, definitely, but for the most part, not that many flaws. I mean, the only real part I got a problem with is the meteorite. I get that the armor she wore at that point in time kind of gave her the ability to fly up and that, but the ability to cut through a meteorite, I feel like Hero was trying to do his own version of the Zaraki meteor moment from Bleach. Like, that was a badass moment there. This here wasn't badass. This just felt unearned and felt very rushed. But that's really the only problem I have with that chapter. The rest of it, with her coming down and slicing her mother in half, well, technically she didn't even cut her in half. She just sliced her enough that she reverted back to her human form. But yeah, that moment I didn't have a problem with, because if you guys remember that what was it? What arc was it? I think it was the game tournament arc, towards the end of it, where we had that fight with Archaeology and Igneel. And Archaeology, at that point in time, we thought he was a proper 100% dragon, right? Or I don't know, did we find out during that arc that he was half human beforehand? The point is, we know that Archaeology is half human and half dragon, and Igneel was a full-on 100% pure dragon. But if you remember, during that arc, we find out that those dragons, Igneel and the others, they're all spirits. They pretty much already died, and it's their spirits that they threw into the bodies of their respected children. And yeah, it's Igneel's dead spirit pretty much was the one that fought Akinogi and ripped his arm off. And that kind of just went to show just how weak. I mean, Akinogi, no joke, is strong as hell, but it kind of showed how weak he is against a dead dragon, for Christ's sake. And then you have Urza coming down like a bullet from heaven with her sword that has been enchanted by Winding using magical Dragon Slayer properties. And she slices her mother, who is a half human and half dragon, and reverts her back into human form. I mean, this is not, Urza didn't fight a full-on 100% pure dragon. It was a half human, half dragon. So I don't have a problem with that, especially with what happens with her coming down like a bullet, like I said, and with the the magical enhancement that her sword got for Wendy. So to me, that's not really an ass pull. For me, that just makes a lot of sense, because again, you have to keep in mind, Archaeology is a half human, half dragon. He got his ass kicked. He got his arm ripped off by a dead dragon spirit. So what's the big complaints there? Like, I think it just goes to show that these guys aren't as OP as we're made to believe. If it was a full-on dragon, then maybe you have the right to bitch and complain about it, but it wasn't. So really, I don't have a problem with that moment in the chapter. And then you got that other moment when she ends up committing suicide. And again, I don't have a problem with that. She doesn't kill her daughter because, I mean, in her backstory, she could have killed her daughter, but she didn't. She left her at an orphanage. She didn't stab her, she didn't strangle her, she just left her in an orphanage. I mean, if she really wanted her dead, she should have just killed her right there and there, but she didn't. So, again, I don't have a big problem with that, because the whole flashback chapter was just meant to kind of show why Erza is so OP, who her mother is, the origins of the Dragon Slayers, and to kind of show the damaged psyche of her mom and how she did care for her. Again, it's not a big deal, to be honest. Like I said, the biggest flaw of the chapter, I think, is that it just feels rushed. If we had maybe 2 or 3 chapters just kind of expanding on all these different elements, I think it would have worked out a lot better for it. But because all of this shit happens together in such a short period of time in one chapter, then yeah, I can see why people would be pissed off. But there are explanations for why it's nothing to get angry over. Like I said, it's not that big of a deal. The meteorite, yeah, I can see why, but the rest of it, not really. I didn't lose my shit over it. I'm perfectly normal with my reaction, just completely normal. Like, yeah, whatever, fine. Yeah, I can see why that would happen, etc., etc. Nothing to cry over. Like, Christ, if you're still reading Fairy Tail at this point in time and you haven't dropped it when it's done other kinds of crap previously, then honestly, I don't know why you would get upset with this at this point in time. I mean, I've only been reading for like a month now, and I'm just like, yeah, it's okay. It's not great. It's okay. I'm having fun with it. That's my attitude towards it anyway. I don't think it's the best manga in the world. I just think it's okay. Like, it's nothing to lose your sleep over. It is what it is. Like, whatever, man, right? Anyway, guys, that's my discussion of thoughts on that chapter. As always, like and subscribe, whatever, and I shall see you when I shall see you. Take care and bye.